Hey everybody, Andy from Tennis Euphoria, bringing you a review of the Yonex Percept 97310. Back in front of the camera for this one, as I've only been able to record a couple of the hitting sessions. Some hitting footage will come through the video. So the Yonex Percept 97310, if you're interested in more details around the Percept line more generally, updated tech, name change, etc., check out my review of the 100D, where I cover a lot of that stuff. I'm going to be very focused in this video on this frame. So the Percept, as we know, has replaced the V-Core Pro. This racket, is the 16 by 19 version, and it's been evolving under that different name for a while. If you go back a few iterations, when it first had that 16 by 19 string pattern, you found a very low powered but nice feeling racket. Since then, it's my view that Yonex have been trying to solidify it up a little bit. You've seen the beam grow a touch, and I think that general theme continues with this 9.7. This will obviously appeal to people who are leaning towards the 16 by 19 string pattern. It is a very head-light racket. Just be aware that if you are looking for lots of stability in stock, then you are probably better looking at the H or the D. Initially, I found this frame in stock to be quite unstable. I played with it in stock form, strung with Technofiber Razor Soft at £52, which is a bit of a go-to setup for testing for me. And I found the racket to have nice feel, a good launch angle, nice control when you're hitting the sweet spot or on attack, but against heavy hitting balls and on defense, it was very unstable. I only had a 306 swing weight at that point against the 309 unstrung weight. So we had a very light, quite flimsy and an unstable frame in the top of the hoop at that point. So clearly I needed to customize. I played around quite a lot, took it up regularly to my local courts as it was sort of growing in weight. Initially, I went with MSV Hex in the mains, a slightly thicker poly at 1.27 gauge, and then softened that down a little bit because I had one eye on comfort at this point. The racket was so unstable and heavy hitting balls, I was getting a lot of vibration through to my arm. So I went with MSV Hex plus 38, the thinner gauge in the crosses, just to soften that down a little. I'd added a leather grip by this point, which of course further increased the headlight nature of the racket, taking the weight up too. So I counterbalanced that with some lead. Initially I was focused on 10 and 2 to get some extra plow. 4 inches of lead was used at that point, or at least 4 strips of 4 inches through 10 and 12. The next hitting session, that was massively improved. And I think there's a key message in that. I think people who are looking at this racket might be considering it against the likes of the Blade 98, the Technofiber T-Fight 315. Just know that in stock form, those other frames will give you more stability and as a result, comfort off the bat. You might also look at the specs on this and compare it to the Pro Staff. Again, I think because of the higher stiffness and also the balance on the Pro Staff, in stock form, you're going to get something that has more power and more stability with the Pro Staff. I actually think that this frame should be considered quite differently. It should compare to the likes of the Artengo TR960 Control Tour, the Wilson Ultra Pro or H19, review coming up on this shortly, and also the Babolat Pure Strike VS, now known as the 97. What do all of those three frames have in common? They all need a bit of help. They need to be customized in order to draw out the great performance that they can offer. And I think they're all designed really with the customizer in mind. And I think this Percept 97310 should be considered in that way. And I almost think that Yonex kind of expect the target group to think of it that way. I did end up with a perfect setup, I believe, for me with this 9.7, and actually love hitting with it now with this setup. So I have 5 inches of lead tape spread across 3, 9, but running up to 10 and 2. And I found that to be really important for stability and also to give me that little bit more plow. You can see I've got it strung up now with Yonex Polytour Rev. The mint string looks good. I actually think that string works well in this frame because it does give you a little bit of extra bite and rotation on the ball. The racket actually does offer quite good spin, but I think the right string to help with some extra lift and spin is important with this frame. I have a leather grip under my overgrip, so I'm well into the sort of 342 territory in terms of weight strung, and my swing weight is now up at 319. I was targeting 320 as my swing weight through customization. That I think totally changes the playability of this frame, and that's not too indifferent to how I'd look to customize its key competitors that I mentioned. So who is this racket then for? So this racket is for the all-court player who is, I think, quite advanced, who is looking for a frame that can either grow with them or that they can customize or take to be customized. I think in stock form, it's just probably accepted by the manufacturer that it is unstable and a platform. I think if you were to hit it in heavy hitting sessions as an advanced player, you'd run into some problems around stability and also possibly comfort. The sweet spot with Yonex frames, obviously the isometric head shape does elongate that sweet spot a little. Yonex would describe that as coming down and elongating more. In my experience and through hitting consultations, we find that actually that spreads the hitting zone or the sweet spot a little more across the frame here. So keep that in mind. I think that this frame would perform better for you next to the Ultra Pro or the Artengo TR960 Control Tour, which are more circular, if you do have modern technique, as I call it, which does whip up through the ball where your connection point is coming towards the top end. Customized, this frame is absolutely fantastic. It's got a low RA at around about 60. And I think that the tech that they have in there now, the new dampening tech, does mean that with this customization, you have a real nice buttery control orientated feel with all the stability and plow that you need with the customization. So an excellent frame if you're prepared to do that. Hope that that was helpful. Other reviews are coming up. That Ultra Pro V4 is coming up. I've got loads of other, obviously, great new releases that are out. The new strikes, really keen to be hitting the new speed as well. They'll be out over the next few weeks. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see the up and coming videos, and see you in the next one.